What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. As always, this is the place where you get actionable insight, inspiration, and ideas, or something like that, to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. We're doing a little Q&A today. We were supposed to have a guest that was unable to make it, so we're getting her rescheduled. She's got a super inspiring story, so we'll have her back on. But, as always, we have the Volpinator, the evil bald ninja, is here, and Greg is back from his long, arduous journey, which we'll hear about. Yes. We're going to talk a little bit about why I hate electric scooters, and, of course, Greg loves them. It's a I'm telling you, electric scooters and our feelings about them are a microcosm of Greg and I's relationship, so we'll talk about yes. that. And somewhere along the way, we might give you some useful tips for actually getting more business, which we always do, but we're going to make sure that we focus on that today. We've got some questions from the Facebook group to pull out, and I want to be as helpful as possible. So if you've got a question for us, we'll keep an eye on the Facebook live feed comments as well. Make sure to pop those in there. So first of all, Greg McDaniel, you're in the co-pilot seat where you so belong. You're back in your box.
I'm back in my box, baby. Back in my box.
What's up today?
A lot, nothing, and everything all at the exact same time. Had a phenomenal trip to Europe. Went to 3 different countries: England, Germany, and Switzerland. Beautiful, beautiful time. But it is always good to get back to your routine. And Matt a curmudgeon. He is 70-year-old at heart. Even though he looks like he's 42, he feels like he's 70.
Watch it. I've got a little bit of a beard. I don't look like I'm 42.
Dude, so Jackson and I rode scooters in Europe for the first time. I kind of like forced her on it. Now she loves it. And we were laying around this morning kind of scanning through stuff, and we're looking for a Hawaii Spartan race, and we're looking for scooters. And then I got down the rabbit hole of like trying to buy a scooter for myself just to do it. And she's like, well, what's the weight capacity on that scooter you're looking at? I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, wah, wah. It only holds 220 pounds. She's like, you're fat. You're too fat to own a scooter. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to find a scooter that's going to work. So I found a scooter that can take up to 325 pounds. So take that, Jax. I can. I am not too fat for a scooter.
That's his new tagline, Greg McDaniel, too fat to own a scooter.
That's right.
And you know what else I was thinking about, too? How he said, Greg's back in his box. You remember the Saturday Night Live? Made me think of the Saturday Night Live skit, Dick in a Box.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Dick in a box.
Andy Samberg. Oh, gotta love those two. Okay, well, first of all, Gene, thanks for jumping in. You were a little shy on the last episode where we were all 3 together. You and I got a chance to hang out and have fun, just the 2 of us. We talked about the 80-20 rule in sales and marketing, so people should go back and listen to that episode because that was one of the most fun ones. I really enjoyed that one because we got into some really fun, interesting stuff that both of you and I have been thinking about and I've been reading about and all that fun stuff. So thank you for announcing your presence by insulting Greg. I always encourage that. and so officially welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I do agree the 80-20 rule was wonderful. It was 80% me, 20% you, which makes it
exactly.
But here's what I want to know.
Well, hey, it sounds like I got 80% of the results of the show with 20% of the effort.
That's who's the smarter one now, apparently.
Yeah.
But why was I quiet on the last one with the 3 of us? I don't remember it. So was I really?
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I remember you being like there's been a couple of times here lately where we've had to go, Gene.
Hello.
If you could wake up and rejoin the show, that'd be great.
Here's me snore.
That was you. We thought we just maybe froze. You lost Wi-Fi connection. No, you just
I did get kicked out the one time. I do remember that. I got booted, but I feel like I got booted during some boring shit anyway. So it was good.
No, our show's never boring. Our show is
that's
never
true.
boring.
I know.
What'd you say?
I'm sorry.
I
am sorry.
Okay. All right. Let me throw a question out to you guys. This is from Andrew Walker. This is in the Lead Gen Subscription Objections group. If you're not a member, go join. He says, observation. I'm having more success listing FSBOs with follow-up text messages rather than phone calls. I think the robocall epidemic is making people more resistant to phone calls, and they actually view text messages as less intrusive. What are your thoughts? If that's true, that would certainly be a major flip. I would tend to agree with him. Greg, you do more cold calling than any of us. Do you think people view text messaging as actually less intrusive than a phone call?
That's a really interesting question to be posed right now because I actually got a text yesterday, and it was obviously a spam text. I immediately looked at it because it was 100% guaranteed people are going to look at this at the text messages. It's a guarantee, but it's what their perception of it is. And I, weirdly enough, when I got that text message, I was slightly irked. I was slightly irked. I got that text message from an unsolicited individual. I felt like someone had just reached down my drawers and started fondling me. I did not feel comfortable about this.
Oh, boy.
And oh boy, and I got the
brother.
nose pinch.
Speaking of being uncomfortable,
I was just thinking about the fact that like if someone reached their hand down my pants and started fondling me, my first reaction is not discomfort. I just want to look and see who's doing it, and if they're attractive enough, like, hey, all right, whatever.
Oh man, I have so many jokes. I have so many jokes for you.
Okay, so yeah, I get that. So I had an interesting experience over the last few days. So I took my car in for service. So I took it to a dealer, and one part of the service, part of the way that they communicate with customers in the service process is they're texting, and it comes from like a 5-digit number, and it's a personal text in the sense that I think it must be communicating through their CRM software so that they can send messages to people kind of en masse. Which thank God they could, because we were able to get things moving and say, okay, yes, order this part. Okay, here's my warranty information. Okay, I have a question about the warranty. Okay, here's the answer to the question. I couldn't get them on the phone to save my life, right? Because they're so busy. Yes, but they were able to communicate back and forth and keep the process moving because they were texting back and forth. And I was looking at the text, and it's a mixture of personal and automated, right? So you've got like a personal message, and then at the end you've got like the please reply, stop, to unsubscribe or whatever, basically giving you an out. And so it's the messages were this weird mix of super personal with what is clearly an automated part of the message. It would be nice if texting kind of split that out a little bit, so that it wasn't confusing. But I do think we'll see that more often, and as that starts to become more incorporated into the normal way people interact with businesses, I think the people that do feel like it's an intrusion, once they start having experiences like that where they realize they're actually getting more stuff done by texting rather than jumping on the phone with somebody, I think that perception might start to flip. I do think he's right, though, about people getting more resistant to phone calls in general. I can tell you.
No, they're 100% are. A couple of years ago, I could do phone calls 8:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, and it was no big deal. I'd average about a 30% connectivity rate. But now it's like middle day is Middle Earth. There's just nothing happening. It's like a desolate seabed. There's no life down there. And I'm seeing more in the afternoons, but it is true. Like in your scenario, I believe texting is a way better way to go about it, right? But getting the unsolicited text from, Bob over at Remax, that motherfucker. We hate Bob at Remax. But, poor Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob.
Can't catch a break.
No,
yeah, it takes a beating. He takes a beating on this podcast.
He does. Well, he shouldn't have pissed Matt off, and then he sicked Greg on me.
Well, it's like I think part of what kind of irked you, and I think what would irk most people, and like for me, that the text from the dealership came out of the blue. Nobody told me they were going to communicate that way. But once I saw it, I'm like, okay, at least I understand what's going on. I think where we have the tendency to irk people with texting, and especially in lead follow-up, is they're not expecting it. And especially if we try to make it too impersonal, I could totally see it irking people. Whereas if they know to expect it, or if we make it super personal, explain why we're texting, like, hey, I just tried to call, must have missed you. This is why I was calling. I noticed you're on my website looking at some homes. Just wanted to see if I can help. Let me know if I can be of help, Matt. Right. And that whether you obviously the goal is to keep on following up. But point being, I think people are much less, likely to get irked if they understand this is personal. It's from a human being. It's not just auto sent from a system. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's it's when people try to like make it a little bit too easy on themselves, and it's just auto texting from a CRM system or something like that. And it's out of the blue and people weren't expecting it. I think that it's much more likely to irk people and be less effective for lead follow-up.
Volpe, are you going to be a silent stalker?
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out how to frame this. I think it has a lot to do with cyclical aggravation. So
cyclical aggravation. First of all, I love that term. I'm gonna buy that domain, cyclicalaggravation.com. It's basically all about me and Greg just going back and forth with each other. Cyclical aggravation.
But hear me out, because we could sell a course on it probably. But we've talked about this before on other episodes. It's like there's somebody, you have a new safe space. You have a new unique safe space. that then gets infiltrated with paid advertisements. It gets busy, and when it gets busy, you get aggravated. So what I mean is, like, think about the way this played out. It was direct mail. All these friggin' bullshit pieces of mail. I hate this. You throw everything out, right? When direct mail first started, you getting that brand new postcard was like, well, this is friggin' cool. What is this? And then you got 6, and you're like, okay. And then you got 190 every day, and you're like, I'm out. I can't do it. So then people started to move to the telephone. And now you're getting phone calls. There's the do not call registry. Like, it got to a point where it's like, I talked to my mom on the phone, once a week, and that was it. When my phone rang, I knew it was her. Now it rings 6,000 times, not 5,962 times, are from spam. And when my wife puts a friggin' request in online for some car that she's looking at, I got all these car dealers calling me 19 times. They get out of my space. Text is still on the border of that, my private space. Like, this is, now, all right, I don't want to talk to you anymore, but real quick, I can send you my thoughts as my buddy and my boy and my girlfriend and my wife. Real quick text, see it, got it, I'm back at you. Now it's getting inundated again with advertising and bullshit, so people want to go back to the phone.
Yeah, like I found that, like, there's a setting in your at least in your iPhone, there is, I don't know about Android, but there's a setting in your iPhone in your text messages where you can separate out text from people that you don't expect, like people that aren't in your contacts. So, for example, like and it still shows you, it still notifies you as if you've gotten a text. And so I was trying to figure out, I flipped that setting or something like that a while back.
You would.
Yeah, of course I would, right? Because I have no notifications turned on my iPhone, period. So if you call me, I won't hear it. If you text me, I won't notice it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I have my phone set up. So I tried that. I was experimenting with that to see what would happen if I separated out, like, anybody that I don't already have in my contacts. If you text me, it doesn't, like, notify me, and it doesn't drop it into my regular inbox. But it does show you a little notification at the top that you got a text. So I flip over there and realize it was somebody who had interviewed me, a podcast host in San Diego, no less. Who was asking me a question about, like, if I could help him hook him up with a guest short term, or like on short notice. So perfectly legitimate reason. But it also, like, I got text. Somehow I ended up on a group conversation text with, like, an old roommate from years and years ago. His mom texting him pictures of where she's at right now, and I'm looking at them going, this is amazing. Like, this little inbox over here that I don't have to pay attention to. That pretty much, like, if a company texts me and I don't know their number, if somebody texts me from the distant mists of the past, I don't get it in my regular inbox. I think that's just the beginning, right? So what's convenient about that particular feature is that the iPhone is smart enough to where if you respond to them, it moves it over into your regular inbox. So if you acknowledge, okay, I know this person and I want to respond, then it moves that conversation into your regular inbox so you can keep up with it. But yeah, I think we're just going to see more and more of that because, Gene, you're right. It all goes through the same progression. Any type of messaging platform, it all goes through the same progression. Messaging is just interesting because it's on that same. It's not a place where you really volunteer. Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, somebody sliding into your Insta DMs, that's all voluntary. Texting is like, if you have a phone, you get texts, right? It's like having a landline phone number. Like, you don't have a choice. If you have the technology, that is a communication channel. And I think that's where it irks people, and that's where we have to be very careful to just be honorable.
I disagree with that in part. I don't think Messenger and Instagram DMs, that's not voluntary on my part. I get advertisements served in my Messenger right now unwillingly, right?
Yes, but you know what I mean. You have to go out and you have to decide, I want to be on Instagram or I want to be on Facebook Messenger, and you have to go install that app on your phone. There's another step, and it's a voluntary step. And you could, if you wanted to unsubscribe from that, just being a part of that conversation at all, you just delete Facebook Messenger off your phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have a choice as far as whether you get text messages on your phone. If you have a phone, you get text messages. So, yeah, that was my only point in that. But it does bring me to another question. Gregory.
Yes, I'm here.
This is from
this just got off my second nap on the show. What?
Yeah, thanks. This is from Thelma. Thelma has a question for you, Greg. And Thelma says, what do you say when you're prospecting and the annoyed person on the other end says, hey, this is my personal cell phone number? How dare you, Greg? How dare you pick up the phone, call my precious, private, my cell phone number that my children call me on, the same cell phone that my dying mother calls me on to let me know and update me on her health every single day. That is my personal private cell phone. How do you respond to that?
If she's dying, how is she calling you?
She calls me every day to let me know that she's not dead yet.
So it's a bot that's calling you because you're dying. She's pre-recorded her likeness into a message.
That's right.
Okay.
It's my grandmother calling me to let me know that she has fallen and cannot get up.
Grandmama is sending you a message. Okay.
That's
right. Wow, you actually nailed my grandmother's name. That is, I call my grandmother Grandmama.
Grandmama.
That's funny.
So Thelma's asking Louise, hey, why did you call my personal cell phone? My response, me being kind of more or less of a smart ass, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, are you thinking of selling? I mean, what are you supposed to do, man? He's supposed to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can I get down? Can I say 10,000 Hail Marys or whatever the fucking Catholics say?
That's hilarious.
I resemble that remark. Listen to me.
Oh,
Where are you getting the phone number? I think the comeback would have something a little bit to do with where you got that phone number.
Her grandson's a prick and gave it out as a joke. Like, hey, you know what? Really piss off my mom. I'm gonna go ahead and give out her cell phone and all these entry forms. That's what he did. That's what happened.
That is a great practical joke. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, so if anyone wants to get not my number, I was thinking Gene or somebody like that. What have I done to deserve that? Everybody knows I don't pick up the phone anyway, so it would be the most worthless prank for me because it would deliver no emotional satisfaction to you, the prankster, at all, because it would have had no effect on my life.
Oh yes, it will. Just me knowing that I did that to you. Every form I fill out, I'm going to put your phone number in. This is gorgeous. You're going to start getting all these texts. I'm just going to stay up at night and just enter fucking formats online and give your email and phone number. Just be like,
Have I ever told you the practical joke that my coworker played on the VP of viral marketing, like one of the first couple weeks I started there? This is before I worked for Frank. This is before it was before you became a client.
Wow.
But one of my coworkers, an account manager who started the same day that I did or something like that, he got it in his head like this is like April Fool's Day. He wanted to play an April Fool's Day joke on the VP in the office. And so he put an ad on Craigslist that said, I'm selling my 2007 Jeep Grand Cherokee for only $6,000. It's half of the Kelley Blue Book price. I need to move this vehicle pretty quickly. I'm in dire straits. And I'm so serious about getting this vehicle sold that I hate to do it, but I will be drowning a cat every hour all day until I receive an offer in cash for someone to take away this vehicle. And here's my phone number to inquire about the vehicle. So he had people calling him all day long going, please don't drown any cats. I would love to come take a look at your Cherokee and see if I can pay you cash for it to take it off your hands. Seriously, no joke.
Did he actually have a Cherokee?
He actually had the Cherokee. It was parked in the viral marketing parking lot. So it was his actual vehicle. He put a photo of the real vehicle in the Craigslist ad.
That's pretty.
So cool. there was enough truth to it. It was funny, borderline psychotic.
Well, so did he get fired?
He did not get fired.
Did they figure out who it was?
Oh, I knew who it was. He copped to it. Yeah.
Dude,
no. But did the guy know?
Did the VP?
Yeah.
He found out later that day because the guy copped to it to him. He said, "Oh, all right, it was me."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
ballsy.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, I know. It took some cojones and some creativity.
Some chutzpah.
That's right. All right. Here's another question for us.
On April 1st. Just be watching out if you guys get some calls about drowning cats. Okay.
That's hilarious.
It's gonna happen.
That's right.
And I'll put my number out there so much, people probably will be like, I want to fuck with Greg on April Fool's Day. I'm like, God damn it. I love my cats. I would never drown them. Matt might, but I wouldn't. You cold-hearted bastard.
I know. I have to explain to people why you give me such a hard time about having a heart of coal. And basically it all stems from these types of conversations where you just throw out accusations just because. Just because.
I love the fact that you actually have to explain that away.
Yes.
That just made my day.
Yeah. All right. So here's a great little point. This is not a question, but I think it is worth talking about. This is from Pavel Stepanov. It says, anytime a quote-unquote marketer or lead generation guru reaches out to me to sell me leads, I ask them one question. Are you willing to do so on a referral basis? In other words, I would pay a closing. Because they go silent and they're no longer interested in talking. It's a really interesting point. I think he has a point, but there's also a generation of people, I think, that have come into the real estate space that initially started as agents and were good enough at generating leads that they thought, I'm going to just start generating leads for agents. And then, well, why not just sell it to them on a referral basis? Like, this is not a new idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a good way to get somebody off the phone. But realistically, people selling leads to agents and taking a referral fee instead of charging them for it, that's all been thought of before. My perspective on it is it doesn't work because the agents don't make the follow-up calls that actually close the deals, so they can't. Believe me, people would love to generate leads for you and give them to you on a referral basis.
Right,
Gene?
here. Right
yeah,
here.
Exactly. Like, Gene, you know how to generate leads. Why don't you sell them to me and I'll pay you at closing 25% referral fee?
Well, here, the first part of that is that's illegal. So that's the biggest hurdle usually is that.
Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, that's what Dave Ramsey does.
Dave Ramsey's licensed. So if you're not licensed, you're.
Yeah, but
No,
that's
that's
a low hurdle to jump over. Anyone can trip and fall their way to a real estate license. Come on now.
It's not even that. I mean, we have this conversation all the time. I mean, if I was generating you leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing something to generate leads, and then I'm back billing you for it. So if 25% of your $10,000 commission is $2,500, that's what it cost you for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So my marketing fee for that property was $2,500. I don't need to be licensed to accept the fee. You know what I mean? Like, and what are people going to say? Matt, you're paying too much for your marketing leads. Well, okay, maybe you think I'm stupid, but we're jamming leads down each other's throats. It's all good, right? So I'm with you on that. But I think part of it too is you got to remember the one, and I love it. But the other piece of it is this twofold, right? Because in order to generate leads, there's two things that are going to have to happen. I have to spend my valuable time, which is expensive. My consulting fee is not small. So if I have to spend 10 to 40 hours a month generating leads for something that I'm hoping you're going to give me if you're good on the close, that ends up being something, right? And the other piece of it too is where's the marketing budget come from? So I almost would structure it like this. Matt, I'm okay with a 25% referral fee on the close for my sweat equity, but you're meeting me down the middle for the advertising budget.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, somebody worth their salt and knows how to generate good leads for real estate, I could totally see them taking that deal. But yeah, it is interesting, like from the agent's perspective to go, well, if you're not willing to just do it for a referral fee, that means you're not good at generating leads. Like, no. There's just, what is it? I mean, Greg, maybe you saw this stat the other day. Something like 180 million online leads were generated in 2018 or something like that. And there's only 5 million closings. Like it's some 20 to 1 number, if I remember right.
Staggeringly large number, and it's because I mean, what you got to understand that what you're talking about when you say a lead was generated, a response was generated. A lead comes after a relationship or sort of a pseudo relationship is built. Once there's some trust involved, responses
prospect
were built, were created. So
exactly. They're just responses. Yep. But yeah, that's why like Greg Harrelson is working with Contact Junkie and we're seeing more efforts to introduce more technology to do the follow-up because agents traditionally have not been good at it. And that's the real rub, right? The real rub. It's not that there's not people willing to generate leads for you and take a cut. They'd love to do that. They do it all day long. The problem is they can't rely on the agent to actually make the follow-up calls that actually get the deals done that will get it to close. So I did think that stood out to me. And I think that's part of why we're going to see some really interesting and big transitions, frankly, over the next few years. I mean, Gene, I'm sure you're probably talking about this with your clients. I know I am behind the scenes, more so because I'm working with the coaches who coach the agents on how to deal with this stuff. But I mean, and we don't have to go down this path, but yeah, I think there's going to be some really, really big changes. And the individual agent, I mean, you've got to be able to develop good relationships and actually follow up and get leads to close.
Well, I think one of the biggest problems is the fact that I think our whole model is going to be shifting substantially here in the next little while. I mean, Amazon just announced last week or this week that they're partnering with Reology, a failing company. They're going to be coming to market. They're already I think they already started on Tuesday of this week doing leads. And with that right there, at a point where 82% of people would take a suggestion from Amazon when it comes to buying different prescription drugs, I think that if they recommend, my dad looked that up. I think they'll take 100%, recommendation from Amazon once it comes to real estate agents, and they've already built out their different brokerages that they're initially going to go to market with, where those agents are going to have the opportunity to have Amazon behind them because of the different packages that Amazon's going to be giving. They're basically going to be, bending over and just giving all of their tech package, like the Ring doorbell, the Ring video stuff, all that stuff, all that smart home tech stuff goes into the package they get when they get their house. Based upon the purchase price of their home, the package gets bigger or smaller. Then they have a guy come out and install it. Then they have another guy come out and do like installing like shelves and shit like that. I believe that this lawsuit that is taking place and is growing momentum against the MLSs around the country, this is my prediction. I think that lawsuit is going to fundamentally, it has the fundamental potential of changing this industry at a core. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think what's going to happen, that lawsuit, probably funded by the tech companies, to destroy the backbone of our industry and how we get the information out. Because that's what we control as agents. We control the information of our properties. We give it to the MLS, and the MLS then resells it out for a profit out to these other tech companies. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to destroy our backbone, get rid of the MLS. The tech companies are going to come in, swoop in like the savior from on high. They're going to say, no, my children, I am here to bless and prosper you. Now give me fucking 50% of your commissions and I'll do all the legwork.
You better hope that's what it is.
Yeah. Or it could be 60%.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It could be
if I were a tech company right now, this is a fun little mental exercise, but if I were a tech company right now, I think what I'd be doing is I would be developing a platform where the consumer comes directly to me. I send a customer service rep, an account manager, out to their house to evaluate it, list it. I have a professional team comes in that stages it, takes the photos, yada, 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 in exchange for either a cut on the backside or a smaller upfront negotiated fee. And I don't employ any agents, and either redo the commission structure. But I would be, if I were a tech company, I would not work with the agents. I don't see what their incentive is to work with the run-of-the-mill agent. If I were them, I would already be looking outside the industry and having account managers from outside the real estate space come in that have no bad habits, that have no legacy habits from what real estate is like right now. If I were them, I'd be bringing people in from outside. So yeah, I think I don't know that we haven't exactly put ourselves to where we have much of a choice, because the tech companies are winning the battle for the hearts and minds of consumers. So I think we've already kind of lost that battle. But I do think real estate agents and the companies and stuff like that are kind of dancing with the devil here, because the big tech companies have an incentive to work with the average agent for a very short time horizon. Well, and as long as they build it up with the consumer, they can flip the switch and hire a bunch of customer service agents
to
take over the agent's role.
They still have to be licensed.
Yeah, but that's, like I said, you can trip and fall and get licensed. You can say the same thing for insurance companies. You know what I'm saying? Like they're all licensed. Every broker's licensed. Every insurance agent's licensed. The companies that bringing them in and, to get them licensed.
I don't know if we can continue this podcast. You're speaking blasphemy. You're saying that real estate agents shall not live. I don't know. This, God from on high.
Well, what I'm saying is you better not be in the mushy middle. Let's put it that way. Don't be in the mushy middle.
You calling me fat?
I think we did that. Didn't we do that already in the beginning of the episode?
That's right. I was going to say, there was scooter talk. Exactly.
Scooter talk.
You know what I think? And far be it from me to give you advice on this show, because obviously I'm just a humble guest. But I think we should
shut the fuck up. You're the third wheel on Fridays. Come on.
I'm just being humble. I think we should set up a Q&A, like a Twitter. I know Matt loves Twitter. Like a Twitter hashtag Q&A with the people. I think there's a lot. We could do 2 episodes on questions and thought processes, and bring in brokers on to talk to them about what this Amazon and Realogy, and where does Google tie in, and what's going to happen with Zillow, and the Berkshire Hathaway model that everybody predicted was going to be. I shouldn't say everybody. When Buffett bought Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and they said people thought that his idea was he was going to basically just bring in hourly components, get rid of the agent, and make people, and actually I shouldn't say get rid of the agent, because I'd be willing to bet you that there's a bottom portion of real estate agents who are licensed that would work for a per diem.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
They take that deal so fast your head would spin.
So think about from Buffett's perspective. He's got a brokerage where, and I'm going to bring this. I'll make my prediction in a second too. But Buffett's got an organization where he has people lined up. He has a process in place. So they run it like Verizon. So a call comes in. Johnny, making $12 an hour, picks up the call, pushes it through to the next level, to the stage or whatever. Everybody's on a $20 an hour rate. depending, and you all have your listing agents are separate than your buyer's agents. Your buyer's agents are separate than your title companies. Your title agents have insurance agents. Everybody gets paid their hourly rate. They're guaranteed a $65,000 a year salary. They don't have to sell anything.
Well,
and think about from Buffett's perspective. Now, instead of paying the agent $10,000 for an X amount of percent commission, they cap out at, I don't know, $2,200 because that's what it costs. Somebody's got to know the numbers on an average. If you do 100 deals in a year.
Well, yeah, and this the problem is, and I think Buffett is smart enough to know this because he talks about it in other contexts of how he built up Berkshire Hathaway from being a textile mill. He did mention that doesn't mean that the spoils go to the person who innovates that process, and he's got a great point. Right, because once the consuming public figures out that they're just dealing with $20 an hour people that get paid by a corporation, guess what? They're going to I think, I don't know, but I would suspect they're going to stop being willing to pay 6 to 7% of the equity of their home.
You can afford to do that at that point, though.
What's that?
If you're Buffett and you need to take 4%, it's still
that's what I mean.
favor.
But
You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Yes, you can squeeze the margins, and the Buffetts of the world will still make money, but not as much. It's not like they're going to be able to keep commissions at 6 or 7%, and then just keep 75% of it and pay. I think we'll just see it go more corporate, and we can already see this in the financial advisor space, and we can see it in the recruiting space. So recruiting is an interesting thing because it's a mix of like their commissions, if you can call it that, are like 30% of when they place somebody. Like it's a pretty big chunk of their first year's salary. So if you place a 6-figure, anybody, engineer, VP, whatever, and they make $100,000 a year, you make $30,000, 30% of their first year's salary. But guess what? Any recruiter, they don't work on 100% commissions for the most part. They start off on a draw, or they start off being paid salary plus bonuses, because the recruiting figured out long ago that they got better quality by bringing people in that they could give a job to, right? Put them on the phone. The actual process of being a recruiter is actually very, very similar to real estate. So I could totally see real estate moving in that direction where it's a little bit of a hybrid like recruiting is, where it's corporate, people show up to an office, you know what I'm saying? But it's not a 100% commission job, and there's a streamlined, systematized process. So anyway, all that to say, this is all speculation, but point being,
Sure.
If you're listening, what do you do about it? Well, a couple things. Relationships. So Greg, you and I have talked about this, really making sure you're close to your database, making sure that you're close with the people that are in your list. And you've got to have a clear and compelling reason why they should work with you versus anybody else. And that anybody else has to include the tech companies. Right. So whatever your pitch is, it has to include whatever else you might be going up against.
I think that's theoretically, right. But I think that this is all doom and gloom right now, the way we're spelling this out for the potential future of this industry. But if you were able to, and you have a very small time frame right now, if you want to continue doing real estate the way it's traditionally been done to some degree, you have to become Tom Cruise famous to 50 people. If you can have 50 people that will invite you to their birthday parties, and will not sleep unless their friends and family use you, then that will sustain your business model theoretically. Now, of course, it's all about the dollar at the end of the day. So if Bob at Remax, that mother blank, goes over and works with Amazon, and he does it for 25% of what you're doing it for, then yeah, at some point the dollar is going to outweigh your relationship to some degree. But I think that still relationships are always going to matter. If you can offer something of a similar package when it comes to your value add, and this is where you're going to have to spend some money and woo your clients back to you, because if Amazon's going to give them $5,000 worth of tech equipment, well, you need to pony up and give $5,000 worth of tech equipment. And of course, that would change again in the different price models, but it wouldn't cost you that much. And you'd pay a 25% referral fee for a referral every day of the week. So why wouldn't you put that same amount of money for every deal into reclaiming your clientele and make sure that they don't go anywhere and you get referrals from them for what you're offering them? I don't know. It's so much up in the air right now to which way this industry is going to be going. It's really
exactly. Yeah, it is all up in the air, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Being Tom Cruise famous to 50 people, and I would recommend, like, starting right now, run to the top as much as you can. We've had Mike LaFido on the show to talk about how to kind of raise your average listing price. I do think that the more you operate in the space where you're not just selling cookie cutter homes that are easily valued because there's a bunch of other homes in the area to compare it against, like, that's where the tech companies are going to shine. because the comps are easy.
Yeah.
You know, so if you can get into areas, and Greg, you're a little bit insulated from this because you're the area that you live in is so diverse. You know, we're talking about average list price of $1 million for a home that was built in the 60s or the 70s. Like, these are not
50s.
cookie cutter McMansions. 50s.
Yeah,
so these are definitely like you're in an area where the homes, like, there's a massive potential swing in price if they are not priced correctly. Like, you bring legitimate value. You know, like we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, breaking down that $5 million listing that you took and how it could be parceled out and how can it be presented to the market. Like, that's where an agent can really, really bring value. My concern is for the agents that are in, let's say, Omaha, right? They're selling in West Omaha. These are homes that were built within the last 5 or 10 years. And there's 1,000 other homes like that home that everybody can compare it to. In fact, there's probably 3 other homes that have sold within the last month or two that are great, really accurate comps. Well, it just hurts your ability to bring value, and it means that if a tech company comes in and makes an offer to either buy it or facilitate the transaction, they're going to have a much easier time giving that property an accurate value, which is supposed to be part of your job.
Interesting thing. We might have a guest come on. His name's Steve. I've known him for a long period of time. I actually got reconnected with him. I haven't talked to him like 10 years, but he has a company called One Park Place out of San Diego, kind of your neck of the woods, Matt, La Jolla area. And he's always very tech savvy, and he has a new product that's not even on the market yet that I got to look behind the scenes on this week and really kind of dig into it a little bit. I think that like his type of product might be the vehicle to combat the large technology giants that are out there and put a personalized touch on it, because these tech giants are just going to be you're just going to be a cow on the way to the slaughterhouse when it comes to getting your money. And if there's solutions out there that like Steve's is, and that you can really personalize things and really get in the trenches with these people and give them high value content, not some back of a Hobbit pad scribble of information, people are I think you just need to step your game up substantially if you're going to survive in this business. I mean, and that would be hiring someone like Gene to do your social media marketing so you don't look like a dumb fuck when you go out and try to do a Facebook ad and you wonder why it doesn't work. I mean, Gene, you have another podcast called Segue. I love that. I love it. Isn't that nice? I just did that so seamlessly. I mean, it's like I've been doing podcasts for like 4.5 years. It's so weird. But Gene, I mean, you're on your other podcast, the one you shared with me, the RV marketing, right? Was it you guys?
Marketing RV, yep.
Marketing RV podcast. I was listening to your Area 51 episode that just came out. You and your buddy on there were talking about the fact that when it comes to marketing and digital branding, it takes money and time. There's no shortcut to that.
Right.
And so if you're going to combat against these larger giants out there, you've got to start now, and you've got to put some coin behind it. This is not, like Matt, you've said 100 times, you can't just put out content and hope that people are going to just flock to you because that's the way it is now. It's not that way anymore. Yep. You've got to put some coin behind it. And
6 months ago, you could, and then when all the changes happened with Facebook's algorithm and Instagram, and it's pay to play now. It's more so than it was.
Well, Gene, I connected you with Steve. I know you guys are going to start talking.
Yep.
And dude, he has all that data, all the demographics, geographics, all the stuff that Facebook took away. He has all that data. So it could be another opportunity to play at a more of a fair playing field. Instead of getting hamstrung.
This is what we're going to see. This stuff is going to happen quicker and quicker now. I mean, Facebook is at a point now where it's become tumultuous because of all the things that are happening on the Capitol Hill, plus the fact that they made that switch, and all the people in the world that thought they were going to become Tom Cruise famous but organically now can't do that. So people are up in arms that they have to actually spend money. So guess what happens? They start looking for another platform. So this is an opportunity for other things to come in and say, if Facebook's not going to give you, 3 cents a view, we will. And here's how we do it, right? And Reddit is starting to have an advertising platform, though it's skinny right now. There's not much to it. You can do it on Twitter. I'm getting emails about jumping up my LinkedIn stuff. Google has made their back-end pay-per-click advertising way more seamless. So people are racing for that dollar now. So it's an important thing. And I said this before. I wanted to say this again. Amazon's not going to be the last, I should say Realogy is not going to be the last domino to fall. I'm curious, and my thought process is how long before Google gets in this game?
Oh, they already are.
Right? Well, think about it. Amazon provides one thing to Realogy, and that is unbelievable lead gen and a brand and a name.
Mm-hmm.
So what they need to make $10,000 on every single piece of lead gen is the broker on the backside who has the process, the prescription, and the licensed agents. What does Google do? So imagine if I was Google, I would come to you and say, Matt and Greg, now think about it from the agent's perspective. I'm going to generate 1,000 leads for you guys a year, and you're going to give me 40% of every lead. What are you going to say?
Done, and done.
It's easy. That's easy. So they already have that platform, and they're providing it. What's to stop them from scooping up EXP?
No.
Saying,
here's a really scary thing. Compass owns 25% of the market right now. Okay. Why wouldn't Amazon just go buy Compass and all the brokerages that they've bought and take them in-house, and now they own 25% of the market overnight with their platform of marketing?
I'm guessing, here's what I would say. The price point on that was way too high for their wants, and they believe they can take 50% of it no matter who they have behind them.
They probably can.
So why would you do that at $50 million when you could do it at $6 million? That's my thought.
So I like spending more money than I should.
Right.
Naturally. I'm a very savvy businessman.
Yeah, I do the same as you do. Listen, if I see a shiny object, I buy it. I get in trouble that way. But
dude, I was talking to my title rep the other day on my tour yesterday, and she and I were talking, and we were talking about something about like when she used to be able to give us stuff for free, and I basically made the comment of like, she's like, well, yeah, you know what, we started to try to give you guys stuff at like $10 and kind of see how it works. I'm like, what if I give you 1,000? What do I get for 1,000? Because it's always like I always want to go bigger than anything else, and I think a lot of agents have that same mentality, but I don't think, like me, because I'm the first one that I will always admit this, I usually jump without knowing where I'm landing, which is a very bad habit if you're Indiana Jones and you're in the Temple of Doom. You're going to fall off a cliff somewhere and land on spikes. Matt is grinning. He's like, ooh, that's a fun image.
It's a very visceral analogy, yeah.
It is a very visceral analogy. But all right, so we'll take one more question and we'll button this baby up.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Gene, how do people reach out and get in touch with the Evil Bald Ninja so that they can get more exposed?
With tender, loving care.
That's right.
I love getting people exposed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What was that? What'd you say? So GeneVolpe.com, Gene at GVImedia.com. I'm gonna ask the listeners a favor if you guys are all right with it.
Of course, man.
Go on to iTunes. This is where I could use your help. If you like what I provide here, jump on to iTunes and listen into either Barbells and Brews or the Marketing RV podcast. As Greg mentioned, we just had an episode on Area 51 and how that stuff ties into marketing. Part 1 and Part 2 is next week. So jump on there and download that thing for me. Help my numbers bump if you're so inclined. So right now, GeneVolpe.com or those two podcasts would help.
Dude, was your co-host seriously didn't know what Area 51 was?
Yeah, she didn't. She called me today, and she was like, now I see it everywhere. She goes, she went home, and she goes, my husband Bob was like, are you crazy? You've never seen it? She said, I just haven't paid attention.
Oh, my God. I thought she was totally joking.
No, she wasn't.
So I listen to his podcast. You guys should listen to him as well. I enjoy him. That's very, very. And by the way, I'm always jealous. I've been thinking about it because they film their RV marketing. RV marketing, yeah?
No. Marketing RV.
Dyslexic, dude. Just give me a break.
Okay.
I'm getting the RV part right.
We're getting there.
Marketing RV, but they film it in restaurants, eating and drinking booze. Matt, we need to change the format of our show ASAP.
I agree, dude. Everywhere we go, dude, they feed us. We
change the format.
I'll tell you what, I've had some great stuff too.
Dude, okay, I just filmed the first episode of my new TV show that airs on August 11th on Coffee 20 here in the Bay. And Scott Seafood, a very high-end seafood place, they're our sponsor. And so I kind of had you in my mind, Gene, when I set the sponsorship up. I'm like, wait a minute, Gene gets to eat and drink for free. How can I do that?
That's right.
And so we do our end of our show at Scott's with like super bomb seafood with like customized cocktails. And I'm like, Gene is a genius.
I love it.
No, I get to eat and drink for free.
I don't know if you saw some of the feedback on some of these things, but the guy that was on Marty McDonald, who's on the show with us, runs a digital marketing agency too called Bad Rhino. I'm giving him some love. And he has one of his main clients is breweries. He wrote a book on marketing beer. So yeah, you got to check it out. It's pretty good. So he said to me, next time we're going to do a recap of this, and we're going to do it over 12 beers. I want to see how that goes. And I'm like, yeah, dude, we'll do drunk recap of Area 51. I'm like, just go get your beer sponsors to sponsor it and provide us all the beer. We'll get hammered and go on air.
Oh, this sounds amazeballs.
That's great, right?
Can I just sit there and drink with you guys? I'll just chime in every once in a while.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, we're doing this. Okay, cool. Matt's giving me the wrap it up look on his face.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll skip the last question. So my last question is, Greg, where can people reach you and why would they want to do so?
I'm a loving, caring, enjoyable human being to spend some quality time with. Hey, Matt's the one that's got the heart of coal that won't even pick up my phone calls. But go to bookmcdaniel.com, guys. That's where you're going to learn about EXP, kind of the tribe we're building, the cool things that we are putting together for our crew. So go to bookmcdaniel.com. Spend 30 minutes with me. I won't bite hard. And you guys can learn about EXP and kind of what we're doing. So bookmcdaniel.com. Do it today. Don't be Matt. Call me right now. Yeah, that's how you're doing.
Right.
And Matt, you.
And if you're in the audience and you are, if you've already built a successful business, especially in real estate, and you want to teach other people to do so, and you want to get out there and start building an audience of people who pay attention to what you have to say and would like to pay for your coaching or consulting,
Wait, what
I think there's some. What's that?
What did you say? Wait, you paid attention to what?
I don't know. I'm not paying attention to what you're saying. But I think there's still some big opportunities for agents to be taught specific things, especially if you're in the team leader broker market. So if you can consult into that market, this is a great opportunity to reach that market by getting interviewed on podcasts. The only problem is it's a pain in the butt to actually pitch yourself. It's time consuming. I've tried to do it before, and I had to build a whole system where I had my internal staff get me featured. I was interviewed 3 times this week. And so if you want to do something like that, where you can just show up and have awesome conversations, and some virtual assistant or an assistant or a team member kind of takes care of all the rest of the stuff, that is possible because I built the program to do it. So go over to pursuingresults.com/training, and that will not only show you how to get featured on the right podcast, how to make friends with the hosts, how to reach the right people, how to be clear and compelling and positively polarizing and all that fun stuff that actually gets people to reach out to you. It's all at that training, and it shows you how to hire someone and get someone on your team to actually do the pitching so that you get featured consistently without you having to do all the back-end work. So pursuingresults.com/training.
Do I get a homie discount? And why are you not pitching me?
See, I actually would give you the homie discount.
Free.
Well, I'm just but I'm going to let you break it to Eileen that they're going to put her through a training so that she can get you featured on more podcasts. And I'm going to just stand back and let that happen.
She'd actually do that.
Would she? All right.
Yeah, she actually would. I'm going to make it.
Right. That's funny.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Gene. As always, it's a pleasure. Gregory, I'm glad you're back. You're back in the box. I think we're going to hang out sometime next week. So at some point, we'll do maybe a Facebook Live together or something when we're in person. You can see just how giant Greg actually is. And we will not be doing anything scooter related. I can tell you that. But until then.
Oh, my God. I love you guys. Matt loves you sometimes on a good days. None of the days that end in Y. That's when Matt loves you.
That's right.
Gene is amazeballs in every single way. You guys are amazing more than you know because you guys keep putting up with us. But thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Give this to someone who might need to listen to it if they just want to hear 3 idiots banter about shit that may never happen. But we bring good content. I love you. You guys have a great day. Oh, wait. Whoa! We need a bow color. How did you almost fuck that up, Johnson?
I know. I'm gonna go with a light. I'm looking at there's a lovely painting here. I'm gonna go with a light teal.
A light teal is the color of our bow today.
That's right.
And until next time, we almost forget to put a bow. Peace out, niggas. We're gone.